Okay, so in this short presentation, I want to show you how you can write your book in 3 hours. I call it the 3-hour book episode. The 3-hour book episode. The 3-hour book episode. 3 hours book episode. How to write a book in 3 hours or less. I'm just going to cover the introduction and overview, and then how you can write your book in 3 hours or less. Let's move into the introduction right away. So I start with myself, and that you need to position yourself. You need to position yourself in seven dimensions. I learned this from a man called Brendan Burchard. Okay, I have written 8 books. Bridges to the customer's heart, the goals of quality strike back, the celebrity speaker, the perennial winner. You have the old Calgary, and then the spring flowers, and then my very first book was titled was a highly narrow focus book on credit, called Credit Appraisal and Procedure Manual. There is also the Wealth Beyond Your Imagination that I've sold, and I also have a couple of ebooks like the How Experts Build Empire. Is an ebook. It's a long ebook, about 70 pages. Okay, and then recently another ebook I just published called the 7 Steps and 2 Master Keys to Internet for Real Results. Okay, and then I've also launched some courses, IBF's Internet Business Foundation course, IBM's Internet Business Mastery course. I also launched the Book Writing Clinic. So that is, you position yourself as an author. I'm talking about 7 dimensions. 7 dimensions. You position as author, as a coach, as a trainer, as a speaker, as a consultant, as a webinar, a seminar leader, and information marketer. So that is I just want to share with you. Talk about how to write a book. Among those books, this one I wrote in 3 hours, so I'm getting to that. Right? So these are my books. Perennial Winner is selling at about $11.99 on Amazon. Bridges is selling at $17.48. Celebrity Speaker is selling at $12.50. All right. And then Old Calgary $11.99. With the Goals of Quality Strike Backs $13.69, and Spring Flowers $12.45, and Wealth Beyond Your Imagination is selling at $7.48, and the other small book, the Credit Appraisal, my very first book, is selling at $4.54. Okay. Also have I remember that I talked about that I run a book platform called the Book Writing Clinic, and I have about 40 of my students have written books. 40 of my students have written books. 40 of them. One of the ones that has written books so well is Phil Maduago. Phil Maduago, it took me some time to encourage her to come to Book Writing Clinic. She was, what am I going to learn at Book Writing Clinic? I don't have the time. It took me some time, and then finally she came, and then she said, well, the Book Writing Clinic really re-energized her. Okay, her dormant dreams came back, and then within a year she has written 4 books. She has written 4 books. Okay, she has written 4 books. Yes, I said 35. About 10% of students, about 350, have written books. Okay, and then even recently, about 3 more wrote books. Okay, Beyond Dentistry, The Bottle Butterfly, and The Letter to All Women, also by students of BWC. All right. In fact, that's not even all. Recently, I stumbled online by one of my students and ex-students, Michelle. Michelle was just celebrating that she has written books, even though once she finished her BWC, she never came back to. She's not a member of the community. She's just on her own. She has written a book called The Fifth Dimension. The Fifth Dimension. She was celebrating on LinkedIn that she has released her book, and then I recall that yes, this lady attended a Book Writing Clinic. All right, so Book Writing Clinic has yielded results, and you can achieve the same results. So is it really possible to write a book in 3 hours? Yes. All right. So writing a book, for your book to sell, you must have a captivating a title and subtitle, like a book by Peter Diamandis, bold, and then abundance, and Tony Robbins, money, master the game, and my own book, Wealth Beyond Your Imagination, and then $1 Million Web Presence by Alan Weiss and Chad Barr, and then of course exponential organizations. So these are the type of books that you write, and then of course there's Alex 100 million leads, and then Alex 100 million offers. All right. So my book has opened doors to Fortune 500 companies. My book has opened doors to Fortune 500 companies, and then some of the biggest banks in Nigeria. My book has opened doors. So a book is one of those things that really will multiply your impact. Yes. Conrad Livingston, the writer of the original guerrilla marketing book, he was once asked, how much did you make from your guerrilla marketing book? He said, I made $10 million from it. And then he qualified it. He said the book itself only paid him $35,000 in royalties. The rest, 9.6 whatever, was from 9.965 whatever was from what he called spin-off projects, speaking engagements, a lot of licensing, and a lot of other things, so $10 million. But a book itself, so a book is a low value product. A book is low value product, but a book does other things. And a book is not like food. A book does not get stale. A book does not get stale. So write a book, and how do we do that? Okay, how do we do that? So how to write a book in 3 hours or less? How to write a book in 3 hours? This is my book I wrote in 3 hours. World Beyond Your Imagination. But talking about writing a book in 3 hours, don't forget that there's a lot of preparation. You cannot just say, I want to go and climb Mount Kilimanjaro, and then you just carry your bag and whatever and go and climb Mount Kilimanjaro. Or you want to run a New York marathon, you go and run the marathon. Or you want to go to Olympics, you go and run Olympics. Or you want to go to a World Athletic Competition, okay? Or you want to climb Mount Everest, okay? So that's not how life is. That is not how life works. You really need to prepare. It's a preparation that will enable you to write a book in 3 hours, okay? So you really need to prepare very well. You need to learn the book trade. How does it work? How does the Amazon ecosystem works? Because Amazon is where we all go to sell our books. Amazon, okay? Because Amazon controls about 60 to 70% of all the book sales in the world today. 60%, all right? If not more, but I think about 60 to 70%. Okay, Amazon. So you are not on Amazon, you are going to be highly listening. Of course, I've not sold most of my books on Amazon, because you need to get people to review your books, give a high rating, and so on and so forth. But just being there creates a credibility. All right. So it's after you have prepared that very well that you'll be positioned to write a book in 3 hours. And then one of those preparation is reading a book. That book is called On Writing Well. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy of that book here. Somebody borrowed my copy. On Writing Well by William Zinser. William Zinser is a US-based professor. I think he passed away some few years ago. All right. I bought that book somewhere in Washington, D.C. when I traveled to the U.S. some years back, and I think somebody borrowed my copy. Okay, it's On Writing Well. The book is so good. I think they released the 25-year edition of the book. There's so many editions, updated editions. So if you want to start, that is where you start, On Writing Well. That is the #1 book I recommend. If you read that book from the beginning to the end, you can write a book in 3 hours. Because the book is so good, it's so structured. So everything you want is in that book. Everything you want is in that book. I've shared that book to all my students. in BWC. To get hold of that book, you can get some free PDFs downloads on some websites. Okay. So once you have read that book, On Writing Well by William Zinser, it's called the classic guide to writing non-fiction, the classic guide. The book has sold more than 1 million copies. It has sold more than 1 million copies. All right. So if you read that book, you'll be able to start writing. How do you write? There are three pillars there are three pillars are shared by Brendan Burchard. The three pillars the results you have achieved. You can share it. Don't forget, I also talk about the story framework in one of my videos. The story framework, the PPF, past, present, future. That is one of the, and then the hero's journey, and then the 3-act structure. All right. So what have you achieved? So 3 ways you can write. 3 pillars of expertise: the results you have achieved, and then you can do research. Most of the books by Jim Collins, I'm sure you know the Jim Collins, the man I'm talking about, the author of Good to Great, and the author of Build to Last, the author of How the Mighty Fall. He has written so many books. Almost all his books are based on research. He has a team. They will go and do research, and they will dissect the research, analyze the research, and publish a very good book. And all his books, all his books are bestsellers. New York bestsellers. All right. So, result expert. What have you achieved? You can share your results. People, you document it. People will be willing to buy. And then research. You can do research. Maybe you want to write on real estate. You're not a real estate. You're not a millionaire. You can go and interview 10 real estate experts, real estate billionaires, and then dissect share their approach, share their strategies, share their what they've been able to achieve. So that is research. And then when the two meet, research and results is role model. There are some people that you respect, not because they have money, but because they've created so much impact, right, on people you respect, people that have good character. That's what they call the role model. There are some people that are good role models. You can say that so professor is my teacher, is my role model. You can write something on him. Maybe there's a politician that has created a lot of things. But being very careful. Do not run after people that have money. Just go and write to them. People that do not have good character. So it be people with good character. If you do that, you'll be able to write your book very convincingly within 3 hours. All right. That you have read the book on writing well. All right. So what are the 4 questions you should consider before you start writing? What is your book about? This is question number 1. Number 2, for whom is the book written? What is your audience? Number 3, why is it needed? Why is it needed? And then number 4, in what ways can your platform and experience help in towards producing the book? Give you an example of why is it needed. My book. I think I should have okay, let me see this right here. My book, this book, Bridges to the Customer, it's on customer service. My personal story, when I wrote that book, initially I just thought, who would need a book? I'm not Tom Peters. Okay, so who would need a book on customer service? So, that is what they call imposter syndrome, and not having enough confidence in yourself. I just kept the boy, I said, this book maybe will not sell, right? I'm not an expert, of course. And I also shared the copies with friends. I said they don't like the structure of the book. They don't like the structure of the books. So that's what really put me off. That's what put me off. And along the line, I traveled to Calgary in Canada, and then I met acquisition officer of Author House. And when he said, do you have a manuscript? I said, I have a manuscript. He said, what percentage completion? I said, 70%. So why don't you complete it and send it to, let us look at it. So when I finished the book, I sent to them, they said the book is very good. And long story short, they published the book. All right, so talk about why is it needed. So do not just say other people are written, because everybody's approach is different. Everybody's story is different. You approach it from a different angle. The other man approaches from American angle. You approach from Nigerian angle. This book talks about all the companies in Nigeria, all the bad service in Nigeria. So much bad service. We're talking about even the police brutality. We're talking about light NEPA failure. Maybe they've taken the light now. NEPA failure. Talk about the custom, and so a lot of agencies don't even know anything about customer service. So the angle is different. Okay, so that's how you can write your book. All right, let's quickly look at the how you can get off the glorious start. All right, the key considerations, you work on your book title and a subtitle. You need to sit down and scribble all these things, title and subtitle, and then overview. What's your book all about? Can you summarize your book in 100 words or 200 words? All right, and then the target audience. The target audience, not the whole world. It's your target audience. There are truck pushers here. They're not going to buy your book, so it's not the whole world. All right. So try to visualize who would this book be attracted to, who would like this book. All right. And then what will be the content of your book? Try to scribble, write the outline out for this content. All right. Of course, the final product will be different from the beginning. But just try at the beginning to just come up with these things. And then competitive books. This is my book. The competitive book is In Search of Excellence. Am I right? Passion for Excellence. Tom Peters seminars, and so on and so forth. So there are many books in this genre. All right. So competitive books. And then how are those books doing? All right. And then author credential. What are your credentials? What have you achieved before? What have you achieved? Where have you worked? For instance, do you have any qualification? Do you have any academic qualification? Have academic qualification. You have a master's. You have a BSc. You have an MBA. You have a PhD, and so on and so forth. So, are your credentials? Where have you worked? So all those things add to your credentials. What are your experiences? Okay. And then what author platform? Author platform itself has to do with maybe a social media following. Okay. Like Ali Abdal I mentioned. Ali Abdal has maybe I mentioned in the at the very beginning, and in one of my videos I talked about Ali Abdal. Ali Abdal is a medical doctor turned YouTuber. Has 5.8 million subscribers on YouTube alone. Alright, so you have such a platform. People that publish your book will know that when this book comes out, it will sell. And then your book specifications. How many? You can see here. I have several books here. They have different specifications. Okay, these are this is a very small book. This is another one. All right, this is another one. Okay, and then this is another one. There are several questions. Each of them has their own dimension, the specifications, how you want the book to be, the size. You can see this one now like a notebook, yeah, so on and so forth. So they have different specifications. So you need to, and then delivery. How do you want to deliver the book? Is it going to be in PDF? Is it going to be in ebook? Is it going to be EPUB? Is it going to be in Kindle? And so on and so forth. Delivery. Are you going to deliver through your website? Are you going to deliver it through Amazon? Are you going to deliver through other third-party platforms, and so on and so forth? Are you going to seed the books in all the online stores all over the world? So delivery. And then can you produce sample chapters that you can send to people? You say, please, can you guide me on this, and so on and so forth. So those are the things you'll be able to do. And then having done all these things, you now do the three. You do what you call use mind maps. You brainstorm about your book. The 3 steps is simply draw a circle. Inside the circle, write what you want to talk about, and then draw lines around this. Draw legs sticking out. So you start writing. Example. A typical example that I like to use for my students is how to, jollof rice is very a culinary whatever in this part of the world. So you want to cook jollof rice. What are the things you want to use to cook the jollof rice? Or let me say you want to do a podcast. What are the things you need? In a podcast, you will need a mic like this. You need a laptop. You need a pen. You need internet connectivity. If you don't have internet connectivity, you can use your phone, hotspot, and so on and so forth. You can even use headphones here. You can use headphones to do, and so on and so forth. So these are you brainstorm what are the things that will come. That's how you prepare the content of this thing. This is called the outline. The outline. Okay, there are some softwares you can use today to prepare the outline, and then at the end, some people call it the ideal wheel. Ideal wheel. You want to build a house. Okay, you want to build a house. The house will have electrical. The house will also have the air conditioning. The house will have the plumbing, the carpentry, the painting, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. So those are the things you talk about your book. Brainstorm and come up with an outline of your book. Okay. So once you have the outline, you can now start to put in different buckets, arrange them. Okay. So you have chapter 1, the heading, and write on maybe maximum of 7 points on chapter 1. Chapter 2, maximum of 7 points. Chapter 3, maximum of 7 points. You can write 5 points. and so on and so forth. So that at the very beginning, your book should not be a very huge book, because you do not have credentials. Look at a book like this, okay, The Tools of Titans. You are not going to write this book. This book is about 700 pages. Okay, let me see. This book is about 700 pages, 699 pages. Okay, it's a very big book. So do not start with a book like this. But I can show you now. There's one other smaller book I showed you. This book by Leke Alda, The 7 Resolutions. This book is only about how many pages long? Just about 30 pages. 30 pages plus about like 31 pages. Okay, very small book, but this book has sold more than 5,000 copies. All right. So assuming that I selling them for $10 or $5, you can imagine. All right. Well, this book might take you 7 years to produce. Okay. All right, and you do not have the experience, so you cannot go to this. Okay, what of this one by Tom Peters? What of this one by Tom Peters? Liberation Management. Can you see? This book is 800 pages. This book is 800 pages. Let me see. Okay, 830, 835 pages. All right. So 835. All right. 835 pages, 36 pages. So do not just start with a small book. This one is by Dan Stephen Pressfield. They do the work. Small book, but about let me see. The book is just about 98 pages. 98 pages. If you add this other one, so about 100 pages. All right. This book is by Charlie Tremendous Jones. Small book. So you can write. This one is how many pages? 88 pages. Okay, 103 pages. Okay, so start with something. Do not just say, okay, this is a book by Dan Sullivan. I've showed all this Dan Sullivan. This Dan Sullivan question. All right, Dan Sullivan question. All right. So this book is 88 pages. 88 pages. Is it? Yes, 88 pages. 88 pages. All right. This is my very first book. And I mentioned my very first book. It's a small book. I said it was a technical book. It's a technical book. I wrote it for my students, my direct reports when I was in the banking industry, and then I repurpose it. It's a small book. It's a small book, but it's a technical book. It's 58, 59, 60 pages. 60 pages, and I've sold more than 500 copies of this book. All right. So, if you said to write a book, I've told you there's a is there anything? The other book I mentioned, okay, it's not here, but I've mentioned it to you that okay, it's not here. I've written that book I mentioned, World Beyond Your Imagination. I wrote that book in 3 hours. All right. So, and then finish your book, and then you upload it to Amazon. Just go to Amazon, Google Amazon, and then scroll down to the end. You get Amazon KDP. Click it. Amazon will say sign up, and so you sign up, and it's very explanatory, self-explanatory. It will ask you, do you want to create an ebook? Do you want to create a paperback, or do you want to create a hardcover? So you start with ebook, and then just follow the prompts. It's very easy. Just follow the prompts, and before you know it, you have produced a book in 3 hours. From the point I started writing that book, I wrote that book. I'm talking about World Beyond Your Imagination. It took me 3 hours. The minute I finished it, I took it to a studio. I read it, and then recorded it, and then I went and put it in a CD, and then I went to a conference, and I just tested I was testing the theory to say these things work. I went to a conference. I went with 20 copies of that CD. Within a twinkling of eye, people have rushed there. I sold it at 1,000. So I collected 20,000. All right. And then I gave the person that helped me to sell the books. He refused, So what I'm saying is that I'm not just sharing theory. I'm sharing practice. What has worked for me, that it can also work for you. All right. So if you can start today, do all the preparation. Once you finish the preparation, then So a lot of people, they want a perfectionism. They would dilly, they would procrastinate, and so on and so forth. Procrastination, perfectionism is just that you are you're afraid of leaving your comfort zone. So do not do that. If you just challenge yourself, get out of your comfort zone, you can never get a perfect job from day one. Okay, from the beginning. All right, so this will be the end, that you can write a book in 3 hours, because I have done it and you can do it. So my name is Paul Udo. I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll be really very, very pleased. I have a lot of podcast episodes that talk about books. Okay, one of them is how you can turn your book into a very, very lucrative business. All right. And if you want to be known, write a book. I have about more than 30 episodes in my podcast channel on Spotify. I want you to go there and I please subscribe, and let's just keep in touch and start writing. Start writing. And within 3 months, your book will be on Amazon. If you said, okay, it's not possible for me to do it in 3 hours, why not 3 weeks? Why not 3 months? And then your book will be on Amazon. So thank you very much for listening. Until I come your way again, keep writing or start writing. Bye for now.